Hello, everyone. My name is Justine Broker, and on today's episode of Passion in Progress, I have Alicia Johnson here with us, and she is going to talk. And I have so many mom friends, so I know this is going to be a great topic for people, and I'm hoping that people jump on so that they can engage with us as well. But Alicia is going to talk to us about how we as moms can still have fun and find pleasure in life without feeling like guilt, the mom guilt, the dreaded mom guilt. We all know it. Make sure if you're jumping on that if you have suffered from mom guilt, let me know in the comments. And so Alicia, with that, let's tell our audience who you are and what you do, and we're here for it.
Yeah, thank you. As Justine said, I'm Alicia Johnson, aka Spicy Mom Life. It's very fitting to the brand that I'm now expanding. I started originally doing single mom coaching, but realizing that there's so much more that moms don't explore, don't let themselves just even really consider, because the mom guilt is a very real thing. So it's taking, helping moms to deal with the mom guilt and shift the perspective, because we as moms get conditioned that you put your kids before everything else. You put your family before that's always what comes first. It's never us. And I actually recently got into a bit of a heated discussion with somebody because I mentioned that to them, and they're like, well, no, you're supposed to put your kids first. I'm like, no. And I know people disagree with it, but I 100% believe that you need to put yourself first, regardless. There's a reason why the whole spiel on an airplane is you put the mask on yourself first. Like, that is kind of the epitome of what I talk about and kind of the purpose behind all of it, of really taking care of yourself. And it's deeper. My mission is going deeper than this traditional self-care of bubble baths and pedicures and those things. Like, those are nice. One of my coaches actually recently referred to that as self-maintenance, not even self-care. I'm like, oh yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. The self-care that I work on with moms is deeper than those things. It is reconnecting to your body. It is regulating your actual nervous system, because I would venture to guess at least probably 95% of the population, especially moms, are living in a pretty chronic fight or flight state, and you don't even realize it.
Yeah. Why do we do that? Let's take that, because survival mode. I realized this through therapy, the joys of therapy and all of the things that come up with that. But I look for chaos. I look for the next emergency. And a lot of it is around my kids. Like, am I doing this enough? Am I going to be late for this? And so why do we know we do that. So why do we do that?
It's what's familiar to us. It's what we have known, especially as a society, because we are in a world where it is that hustle. It is that that chaos is kind of, I feel like, what kind of runs the majority of the world. And so even though it is stressful, it's exhausting, it is what we know. And it becomes what is more comfortable than change. Because even a positive change, it's still change. And our brain is hardwired to keep us safe. And so change is not something our brain likes, even if it's positive. So if chaos is what we've learned, chaos is where we live until we can get ourselves to make that hard change and find something that's not so chaotic and so stressful.
Yeah, it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm. In the other aspect of it, I didn't realize how much even myself was still kind of in that fight or flight until I started actually learning some of the tools that I teach now to get back into the parasympathetic nervous system and really calm yourself down from really an internal, like, cellular level, not just your mind. And it's
And
actually
yeah, go ahead.
calmed, like, that that crazy voice that's like always talking when, like, you learn, like, when you're trying to meditate and trying to do all these things, that little voice, like, it's just kind of on a repeat. That's started to calm down now because I've learned these different tools. And so it's not so loud because I'm not as in my head as I used to be.
And that head can get loud, like the only thing you hear.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's where, a lot of people are living, majority of people are living. And why we get so fixated on different things, because where was I even going with that?
Why we fixate on some.
Because, like, that's what we logically will know. And what an interesting thing that I've learned, because I know all of these things now that are good for me. And so I will be like, okay, logically, yeah, that makes sense. But, like, in actual reality of, like, actually trying to do that, it's still a totally different thing. So it's not necessarily, oh, you learn all these things and it's suddenly easy. It's still hard because you still have those patterns that you're trying to break.
And they come up at, like, the most opportune times too, don't they?
It's funny you say that, because the past 5 months have been the most the biggest roller coaster I've been on emotionally in probably since my divorce.
Really?
It's been intense. But on the other hand, because of the tools that I've learned previously, the support that I've had during, I have actually, I've been able to utilize these tools in real time. So I've been able to practice them in real time.
That's awesome.
But I've been able to heal and grow in a way that I was like, what? Like, it's actually been really great to see what's actually possible when you combine all of those things together.
Yeah. So tell me more about this, because like you said, it's not about taking time for yourself and the bubble baths and the meditation. How Let's talk about what's the deeper level a little bit. We don't want to
Mm-hmm.
give away all your secrets here.
Oh,
But
you can't give them all the way here, because a lot of it's the actual practice and doing and support that goes behind it. So
exactly. You are 100% right.
because I can give you the manual on how to do it, doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be
Yeah.
able to do it and follow it.
Preach it, sister. Preach it. Exactly.
Because that's what personal development books do. If personal
Mhm.
development books were the answer, you wouldn't need coaches and therapists and all of that.
Exactly. Yeah, and even, like, having someone explain it to you in a different perspective will allow your mind to go a little bit deeper
Mhm.
than the loud jargon.
Right. Um, so in going deeper, there with moms in particular, when we become a mom, that then becomes our sole identity. So we are so focused on our kids and mom life. So that other part of us that like we've had, for however many years prior to becoming a mom, it becomes just super quiet. Some of us even just like stuff it into like a closet. And so it's bringing that back out. It's connecting that with motherhood and also connecting to the body, to where when you're doing things throughout the day, you actually are able to be aware of the physical responses that your body is giving to what you're doing versus thinking about it. Because your body knows way more than your brain ever is gonna know.
Yeah, so, like, the famous, "What are you thinking?" You know? Yeah,
Mhm.
"Use your head." "No, I
Right.
don't wanna use my head."
It's yeah, our body is has way more ability than we give it credit for. And the other really cool thing that has been mind blowing for me in this work, in a couple different ways. One, the connecting to the body and some of the somatics that you can utilize helps to heal some of this trauma and stress because it is literally like it's stored energetically in your body.
Mhm.
It's not in your head.
No.
Um, I a really good example, given the current situation that I'm in, like I've done a lot of like gut healing and all of that, and like things were pretty good, but then I was like holding back on like having the conversation with somebody that I really, really, really need to have, and like all week my stomach was just like nothing I ate settled well, nothing. Because I wasn't letting that stuff out. I was just letting it sit. And there's how many chronic health issues in the world that have no explanation.
Right. Yeah,
Trauma,
trauma. Exactly.
pain, emotions. And that's the other aspect of this. Okay, let me backtrack to where I was going. So one is like the healing the emotions, or emotions, but like the trauma and stuff that's held in your body. But then in doing that, you then open up the door to actually experience more joy and more pleasure in everything. I know when I've talked to people, because I label myself as a human pleasure coach, people hear that, they think sex.
Of course they do.
While yes, that is part of it, but that is only like you can have pleasure in every area of your life, and that's the goal.
Yeah.
Um, and where I was going to start to go before I got sidetracked. Um, with this reconnecting, the other aspect of that is learning how to let yourself actually feel your emotions.
Ooh.
That right there, I 100% understand. I do. That was
That
me.
was that was my gut responding to you.
Yeah, yeah. But that's the majority of the world
Yeah.
because we are conditioned to not express our emotions, our feelings, and those are another thing that gets stored in our body, and it just makes things a mess.
Yeah. It does.
And all of this, the other really cool part of this, all of this, and doing all this work, not only are we doing this for ourselves, But once we learn, then we can teach our kids differently.
Mhm.
We can teach them that it's okay to feel, it's okay to be upset, it's okay to cry. One of the things that I had to finally like clicked in my head why I had such a hard time feeling as a kid. My dad used to tell me, like, I would start getting upset, I would start crying. He'd be like, well, if you're going to cry, I'm going to give you something to cry about. So then to me, as I think it was like 5 or 6, so to me, that meant if I start crying, something worse is going to happen. And I don't want that to happen. So I'm just not going to cry.
Yeah. Oh, I feel that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's not like I say that I'm like, I'm not upset at my dad because like
Right.
that's what he knew. And that's another aspect. We only know what we know, so we can't do any better than what we know.
Right.
No.
I know. Yeah. Because I sometimes would find myself as I was healing trauma. It's not like I was abused by my
Mm-hmm.
parents.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I didn't want, I like tied guilt with, like speaking things out loud that bother me now. Even like telling my mom, she'll be like, "Oh no," and I'm like, "No, mom, I'm not telling you to be mad. I'm
Yeah.
just, it's like you said, you don't know what you don't know, and you do the
Mm-hmm.
best you can with what you have right now."
Yeah. And chances are a good majority of what they said or what they did is what they were taught as kids.
Hmm.
So that's where this work is even more important, because if you don't change what you're doing, your kids can't change what they're doing, and then the cycle continues.
Hmm.
Whereas if you work on those things and you can teach your kids, then they're not repeating the stuff that you're doing for years on end.
Right. So how does one connect with their emotions when it's the last thing you want to connect with?
You have to work on feeling safe
Mm,
in yourself. And as I have been talking with different moms, that is one of the two big things that I hear is they don't feel safe and there's a lot of judgment. So those two things are probably the key things in like being able to really feel your emotions. Because for a variety of reasons, they haven't felt safe in feeling. Um, and so that can look different for different people. For me, having a coach that I could actually walk through it with, who I trusted, was what I needed, because I didn't feel like, and it just so happens that I was working with this particular coach as I was going through this really crazy situation where I went through just about every emotion under the sun in a matter of a week.
mm,
Um, but initially, I was holding all of that in because I didn't feel safe. But being able to have space with her to hold that space, to then be able to feel that, but no, there's somebody there that can kind of help bring me back, because I didn't feel like I could do that myself. Um, so for me, it started there. Um, and then once I saw it that first time that, hey, okay, I can like feel on a really deep freaking level and come back from it and not feel guilty, not feel shame, because those are the other things. Those things come up and you're like, well, but there's this and there's that, and what does this mean? Like all of those things come up. Um, and the judgment piece of, well, I shouldn't feel this, I shouldn't feel that. And you try and logically explain your way through it instead of just being like, okay, like this is how I feel, and that's okay.
yeah, I feel that, and I'm thinking, I'm trying to tie that with, because when you said you had to have like a really uncomfortable conversation with someone, like you had to do it,
Mhm.
and you made yourself sick for a week doing it because you feeling sick was better and more enjoyable than having to feel that discomfort or the what ifs behind it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, like, for me, safety is knowing that, um, I was always told, like, "You're a lot. You're a lot. I'm all over the place. I'm ADHD.
Mhm.
I'm like all over." And some people are like, "You just need to take it down a few levels." And so when I'm
Mhm.
like I'm having that conversation, I don't want people to view me differently or be too much for someone.
Mhm.
You're overreacting. My panic attacks, like I would hide because I didn't want anyone to know that I was doing that. And then I was sitting there judging myself for doing it. And um, it's lonely there. So feeling like you can be seen for who you are,
Mhm.
I guess that's what feeling safe means to me. I'm not sure where I was going with that, but I was really resonating with what you were saying.
Yeah, and a lot of the things that a lot of those pieces, there's also like a lot of this can also tie back into inner child work. I don't talk a lot about that specifically. One, I know for me, when I would hear about it before I started doing the work, I was like, "Oh, that's too much. I can't do that." So I purposely don't talk about it because I understand those that are like me that that's too much
Mhm.
because that seems really, really heavy, really, really scary, even if you didn't have an abusive childhood. Um, and so some of those different pieces that you're talking about, you know, you being told that you were too much, I would venture to guess that started when you were really young.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was diagnosed with ADHD in 4th grade, I think.
Hmm.
Yep.
But you were diagnosed in fourth grade.
Right.
So
And
that
what
means
got me
there's
to the
some time.
diagnosis.
Mhm, mhm. I know that works. There's time before that
Yeah,
where you're because it's not like it's suddenly just like, okay, one day you're not, one day you are. Like there's that period of time before that.
exactly.
Um, so it's also healing those wounds. And some might, some, I mean, even myself, when I first started hearing these kind of things talked about, I was like, that just sounds kind of silly. Um, but giving giving a voice to that earlier version of yourself and reparenting her as you're healing. I had actually a somewhat recent experience where I didn't really acknowledge it until afterwards, but it literally felt like my like inner toddler was having just a temper tantrum because of something that triggered her.
Yeah.
And it came down to not being good enough. And it's like nothing I could have done. Like it was, I used to donate platelets on a regular basis, but it got to the point where they couldn't get a good enough pulse rate on me for them to accept me. And so they had to turn me away for the third time in the row. And that inner toddler is like, just like all of the feelings inside because of that, because I didn't feel like I was enough, even though I have zero control over it.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Inner child work is heavy, but that also ties into what you do. And I truly like I look at Georgia, I just glanced out and she's just like swinging right in my wind like she's just having the time of her life.
Mm-hmm.
That as a kid, you know that what pleasure like that's the version of myself that I wish I could tap into more, that innocent, no, like
Mm-hmm.
joy from the smallest things. Like
Mm-hmm.
she saw
Mm-hmm.
a worm on the driveway and was trying to save its life. Like why, to be able to go back to that
You can.
before you know. Yeah.
You can. There's stuff to get yourself there, but you can.
Yeah.
I had an experience where I took myself out to dinner one night, and it wasn't anything special, but I had done um, some work prior of just kind of like really tapping back in and like connecting to my body and like just really feeling myself prior to this dinner. And let me tell you, I have never had a meal taste so good. And it wasn't anything special. But it just, like, because I was in that space, everything was so much better. And like that can be more of our life versus like this little bit of our life.
And it doesn't sound like it takes a whole lot of, I mean, obviously it takes time and practice, but when you start mastering it, it's a
It
way of
is.
being.
Yeah. And it's with all of the emotions stuff now, I was able to, and this is something I never, well, two things. In working through the emotions and doing that work, I overcame my emotional eating during this super emotional time. You want to know what the key was? I allowed myself to feel my emotions instead of eating my emotions.
Mm.
That's all it took. But like, that's all it took. Like, but that's a lot. But that was the key.
That's powerful.
It's like when I acknowledged that to my coach, I was like, how? I've been trying to overcome this my entire adult, well, no, since my teens. I've been trying to overcome this since my teen years. And all it took was that.
What works best for you I'm sorry, you had another thing. Keep going. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Okay. But I was gonna go the other aspect that it's helped me of being able to like feel my emotions and like connect to my body and all of this with this really heavy emotional stuff that's been going on. I was able to feel those emotions, like cry to the point of like nothing came out, like that really, really hard cry. But then allowed it to progress to like joy and pleasure. And then I took myself out to dinner to celebrate, all within a matter of probably like 3 hours. Versus in the past, I would get, and I know this is for a lot of people, you get stuck in that, what I don't like negative, but that's, people see them as negative emotions for weeks, months, even years, and they can't get to the other side.
Did you plan on going to dinner, or is that something that you're like, you know what, I'm going to go out for dinner tonight?
It was not something I had planned. Towards the end, because I actually have a very specific playlist that kind of helps now for me to like just kind of go through that. And towards the
Nice.
end of it, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to celebrate and go out to dinner.
I love it.
You know, it's definitely not planned.
And it, like, that's just like I can see it, and like, and I was going to ask you before, like, how do you feel your emotions? What do you let yourself do? And you answered my question when you're like, I just let myself cry and cry.
And it's really, it's whatever, and it's not even just cry. It is whatever your body feels it needs to do. If that's cry, if that's shake, if that's, hitting a pillow, if that's screaming, it's allowing yourself to give yourself permission to do what your body is telling you it needs to do. Because your body knows. You just have to listen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not labeling those things as bad. the emotions or what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have a safe space, you know, there's no reason why you can't scream and yell and shake, dance, cry, whatever, you know, needs to come out.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. It's like, yeah, let it go, let it progress. And I love how you have a playlist. And it reminds me, I need to make a new playlist because I don't listen to my playlist anymore because I can't relate to it because I'm not the same person I was when I created the playlist.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a great tip for anyone watching this too. If you feel like sometimes I love watching court on YouTube. I love listening to court in session while I'm working. It's very bizarre. I don't know why, but I love it. Should
Mm-hmm.
have been a lawyer, but I get very down. Okay, I like invest myself into the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to detach from that and put on some music. But it's a lot, it seems like so much effort to get out of that and the FOMO that goes with that. Like, I'm not gonna know. I'm so
Uh-huh.
invested. Why would I wanna
Mm-hmm.
but I need to do a playlist again.
Yeah. And with the playlist that I have that's very specific to this, it's like the first 3 or 4 songs are they're dark, but they're meant to be that way. They're meant to evoke emotion. They're meant to really pull that out. And then it, progresses into some like medium, like not so heavy. And like eventually in the end, it's like happy, like I think one of them is that's on there. It's even Pony by Genuine. Like
Heck
stuff
yeah.
that feels good, that's sexy, sassy, whatever feels good, to end on that stuff so that you can take yourself through that gamut of the emotions.
Sorry, the dogs. I
Sorry.
I love it. How long is your playlist?
I have 2 different ones. One I think is close to 3 hours. The other one um, is only about an hour. So
That's awesome. Thank you. And I'm sorry for the dogs. I'm very, very sorry. I hope they're not um, blowing your ears out.
yeah.
But I absolutely love what you're doing. I love the transformation that you've made with your brand. Like Solo Mom, the last time I had you on here, Solo Mom was powerful, like
Mm-hmm.
strong. Spicy Mom Life, she stepped it up, and I am here
Yeah.
for it. I love it.
There's a whole other aspect of spicy mom life as well. That is shown more on my Instagram than it is on my page. But
Okay. Okay. So Alicia is updating her website, but I just wanted to scroll through her stuff here because you've got a great website.
thank you.
So there's coaching here. She's got products, group coaching opportunities, all kinds of fun stuff. And I will drop her link in the description. I got stuck on the Happy Mother's Day. That's awesome. See, this is a spicy mom.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
Because so many people too like feel guilty for like
Even thinking about those things.
even thinking about it.
Mm-hmm. I know. I know.
Yes.
Because
So
I was
go
there.
check
So
her out
many.
on, is this your Instagram or is this your
Yeah,
podcast?
that's my Instagram.
Okay. And do you have a podcast too?
I haven't. It's not anything new. Yeah, there is likely a new one for my current spicy mom life, but there's nothing new for solo mom
Awesome.
currently. I
Well,
just
I love
haven't.
it.
I just haven't taken it down because people still enjoy it, and it's still
Yeah,
relevant for people that are in that space.
absolutely. Yeah. And I would think like getting divorced, you kind of have to realize who you are solo first, and then you can step it up into the spicy world whenever you're ready to do so. But
Mhm.
I love it. I think you're
Mhm.
doing amazing things and keep shining. How is TikTok going for you with this stuff?
Um, I have a funny story about TikTok that just happened recently. So my coaching TikTok, it's so. Um, but because I'm currently going through a sensual somatic facilitator training, and we have to practice different parts of it. And I've been recording different parts of those, and one of them, she taught us one, it's like sensual dancing, but then she also taught us how to twerk. And I was like, I've tried and I've tried with other videos, and it just was not successful. And
Yeah.
then something about the way she taught it, I was like, oh, I got it. I could do it. So I had another TikTok that I started months ago, just kind of as a joke. That's kind of like, it is definitely all spice. And I've now had 2 videos on there go viral. One is over 28K. I'm like, why can't the coaching stuff do that? So yeah,
That's
it's interesting.
awesome. It's because it's your passion.
Mhm. Yeah.
And yeah, TikTok is the strangest creature I have ever met. I live in a really weird space on TikTok. You can find either an organization, DIY, lesbian TikTok, or like Trumpville. Like that's where I bounce around from. And it's like, how did I get here? And then the most random things go take off. And I've noticed that with people, like
Well, that's
lots of
funny
people
because
I've
like
worked with.
I had posted other things, and I think the most views had been like 300, and then this one was at 10K in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And go like let spicy works on TikTok. And but also Spicy's gonna get a lot of trolls, but you don't
Well,
forget
that's
the
what it is. I'm
trolls.
like, meh. Um,
Yeah, they're
I
just
don't.
most of them are 11-year-olds. Most of the trolls are just children and just let it like some of the people I see like super, super spice level, like, oh, takes me back a little bit.
Hmm.
Their stuff takes off like nothing, especially if you're passionate about it, let that come out because TikTok will really it'll amplify you in
It was actually to the point one of my recent ones got reported, and I was like,
just
I
to
posted,
peel it. It happens to
oh,
me all the time.
I did, because I'm like, I posted the same video on Instagram, and Instagram's fine with it. So,
Right. Yeah, and, like, people will jump on and drop hate comments. I just delete them as soon as I see them. Like, I don't have time for your hate.
oh yeah,
Like,
I know.
pure hate, rudeness is not welcome here. Go
Mm-mm.
find it somewhere else. So, no, I love it. I hope
Yeah,
I need to make sure I'm following your new one, not your old one. Well, I'll follow your old one too, but
yeah. Well, I'll be putting because I'm doing a new kind of by request a new series on Instagram um, that is definitely outside the like quote norm of things, but it aligns with the spicy. So
up
um,
with it.
it'll be going up on TikTok as well.
Okay.
So
Good. So yes, people go follow Alicia. You will love I love your Instagram lives too. It's been a while since I've jumped on Instagram. I've kind of we're healing our relationship, but you
I
do such a great job live and like I get fired up with you. I can feel your
awesome.
energy and passion and so go check out Alicia on TikTok and Instagram, her website. All of it will be linked in the description. And if you are someone who's struggling with mom guilt and you just want that passion back in your life, it's like passion to your core
Mhm.
is like next
The
level.
on my Instagram bio, it actually says teaching moms how to reignite your pleasure center and feel sexy as fuck.
Love it.
So
That would that's You need to put that on a t-shirt because that sounds awesome.
I love that. It's funny because like I had changed it for a while, and then I was asking some other moms, I'm like, does that make sense to you? Because like it makes sense to me. And they're like, yeah, I know what that means. I'm like, okay. If other moms get it, I'm leaving it because I like it. But
Yeah.
there's certain things that, somatics. How many people know what that? I didn't know what that is. So I don't put that on there. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Because moms can have pleasure too. And moms can have fun for themselves. And like Alicia said, the first thing, put yourself before your kids.
Mm-hmm.
You
People will
have to.
come at me for it, but that's okay. I'm here for
Sorry.
it.
It's
I'm here for
it's
it.
true. It's true. And the people who like some people can't get a night away from their kids. I'm like to my parents, please take them. Take
Well,
them.
I know part of it when I've talked about putting yourself before your kids. What people then hear is you're neglecting your kids.
Yes.
And that's not what I'm saying.
No.
And others, if they were raised by like narcissistic parents or like abusive parents, like I get it, like that's different, but that's not what I'm talking about. You take care of yourself first so that you can take care of your kids better.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And that
Well,
includes enjoying any aspect of pleasure and joy that you want without
yes.
guilt. Because,
Yes. Quit
yeah.
judging yourselves, mamas.
Mm-hmm.
I know I guilted myself for feeling pleasure for a very long time. And since I let go of that,
Mm-hmm.
it's changed so much. And um,
Well, the happier you are, the happier your kids are,
mhm,
ultimately.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes it does take teaching them to be like, hey, mom needs this time because mom needs this time. I know that
mhm,
was something I had to work with on my kids, but once they saw that, if I told them mom needs a day to herself, like, okay, like it didn't become this big deal anymore because they learned that that's something that mom needs to be a better mom.
exactly,
I mean, you're the parent. Teach your kids. That's what you need.
exactly. Yes, yes. Lead by example. Show your
Mhm.
yes. I love it. Well, you keep doing amazing things. I'm gonna make sure I'm connected to you on TikTok. Everyone else, go follow Alicia. She is I just love having you as a friend. You are a vibe. And I
Thank
love your
you.
pineapple in the back too.
Thank you.
All right. So that will wrap up today's episode. And thank you again, Alicia, for chit chatting with me and giving me time of your night. Um, and go do awesome things and stay safe, everyone.